We see the.
Right. We'll call the meeting at 10 a.m. The town of Smoky Lake respectfully acknowledges that we are situated on Treaty 6 territory, the traditional lands of First Nations and Métis people. So we'll move to the adoption of the agenda, additions, deletions. Crystal?
I have two delegations that canceled. So I'd like to delete 4.1, 7.1, 4.3, and 7.
And by cancel, do you mean that they're deferring? They're gonna be at their July
They will
meeting instead?
be, yeah, at the July 14th.
And are there any other additions? So what I was thinking was, I kind of have a timeline that we should keep to. And then if I feel like we're having a little more discussion on a topic that, that we're not finished with, but is taking more time, maybe we'll defer it if we can, like if it's appropriate to defer, not something that needs to be addressed right away. So if that's okay with council, that's kind of like.
And thank you, I appreciate that. So then would you think that there's a need to put CAO recruitment in closed session?
I guess, were you looking for? Because we do have a special meeting and we could address it then. Or are you talking, or is it more to do with staff in?
No, I'm just thinking, so sometimes things come up at the special meeting. And then if we have to wait until another regular council meeting to make a motion for if there's an action, that it would be better served if it was just already on the agenda and even if we delete it that.
Which? No.
Next steps.
Yeah, it's an in-camera session, so we can add it in. If there's nothing to talk about, then we won't need it.
Isn't it on? I thought there was CAO recruitment in.
Just a check-in. But
Oh, okay.
I check in with the interim CAO, but nothing.
Oh,
So
yeah, I thought you were
so that's where it's coming from,
forward.
just so the today could be circle back.
Okay, so 14.3.
Yeah, if that's.
Okay, sorry, I was assuming they were the same. Okay, and you wanted to bring it up forward. Okay, sounds good. All right, then if I can have a motion to drop the agenda with the two deletions. Well,
I'll make a motion to adopt the agenda with the deletions and the addition.
all in favor? None opposed, so carried. I'll move to 3.1, June 2nd, 2025, regular council meeting minutes for adoptions. Right here.
So before I move to accept them, there's just a small typo and I have that, it's on, sorry, just it's on page, just very small, so had it written down here, but page 8, the motion 458, for motion 767-2024 and should be 768-202. Just for the context.
Sorry, what motion?
So yeah, our page 8 and motion 458.
Okay.
And sorry, I didn't catch it earlier, but as I was and so if that's okay with everyone, I would move to adopt the regular council meeting minutes held on June 2nd with the correction to motion 458 as presented.
All right, all in favor? No opposed, so carried. And 3.2, June 2nd, 2025, regular council meeting action. Evelyn?
I'll make the motion that we adopt the June 2nd, 2025 regular council meeting action list as presented.
All in favor? No opposed, so carried. And 3.3, June 10th.
I'm gonna jump in there. What I'm gonna recommend for the next 3 is that we table them until admin has an opportunity to fix them because our signatures are not blacked out. And that also means that's what's currently online is not blacked out. So because we have two meetings this afternoon in the middle of this meeting, that gives admin an opportunity to fix it. And then if we table it, we can pass these minutes at the end of the day or at the end of the meeting.
All right. No,
So can we just skip them for now? Come back?
Yeah,
to
that's what
them?
I'm saying. We're
Okay.
tabling.
Okay, so,
yeah, that's what I thought.
my bad.
Is that a motion or?
Yeah, so I'd like to make the motion that we table June 10th, June 11th, and June 16th. No, the 18th.
There's no waiver on June 18th.
There shouldn't be for June.
June 18th, and I was gonna make a separate one that do we have a signed form for it or not?
Correct?
I had all 4 signed just in case we needed them, but we only needed them for June 10th and June 11th.
The other had enough time.
Okay, so June 18th doesn't have it attached,
16th and 18th don't have it attached.
but they should have one attached.
No, we had enough time prior.
Okay, all right, so then we can go ahead with June 16th and June 18th and go ahead and approve those ones. Sorry, yeah, and then it's the June 10th and June 11th that will table. Thanks for the clarification of what I'm trying to achieve here.
Okay, so we'll go to 3.5, June 16th, 2025, special council meeting, jail restriction meeting minute.
I think we have to call a question on the table motion.
Oh, sorry, yes, that's right.
So-
So she didn't finish her table of motions, sorry. We put all of them.
Okay, so I'm gonna make the motion that we table the June 10th and the June 11th special council meeting minutes until the end of the meeting.
All in favor? None opposed, but carried. And then we'll move to 3.5, June 16th, 2025, special council meeting. CAO recruitment. Mel?
Make a motion to accept the June 16th, 2025 special council meeting CEO recruitment minutes as presented.
All in favor? None opposed, carried, and June 18th. 3.6, June 18th. Mary?
I'd like to move that the council today approve the June 18th, 2025 special meeting CAO recruitment meeting minutes as presented.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right. And now move into delegations. And since we've had a double cancellation, that moves up the Thomas Montgomery pickleball group. Are you guys all right to be a little bit early? Yeah, okay. So we'll just do some introductions and then we'll have you introduce yourself and we'll move. Evelyn?
Okay, so hello, Evelyn Copes, first term town councillor.
Amy Turnitin, Mayor Smoky Lake.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Marianne Prosky-Zarewski. I'm the deputy mayor.
Morning, Melody Morton.
Good morning, Crystal Briggs, intern CAO. And I'm Carly, I'm the legislative clerk.
And I'm Kathy. Part of the pickleball group.
Joanne Repchuk,
Wayne Barrick.
and there's supposed to be a few more coming, but they must be late.
Oh, okay. Oh, well, we're early.
Oh, that's okay.
Should we wait?
Traffic.
No, we can
No.
start.
Okay, okay.
So do you have someone who's gonna present to us or?
Have you start yet?
Are you more comfortable sitting there rather than?
I'm good, fine, right where I am, thank you. Okay, some of you know me, you've met me in whichever, and I've been the original start for setting up the pickleball. Moved back about 4 or 5 years, which we started with 2 people and have grown into a whole number of us. So we need to address the problem we have created. Too many people and not enough room to play pickleball. Well, anyway, for people that don't know what pickleball is, I'll give you a quick 60-second brief explanation of it. It's actually a sport that is combines the elements of ping pong, tennis, and badminton. It's played on a what do you call tennis court, except a lot smaller. You can basically fit 4 pickleball courts on 1 tennis court. That's all. And instead of using a tennis racket, you use a paddle and you play with plastic balls with holes in it. That being said, pickleball is more than just a sport. It's a potential tool for enhancing mental health and overall well-being. So what we're gonna, such as improves mood, right? Reduces stress and encourages social interaction. And that's a big one, the social interaction, because it's anybody from 3 years old to 103. Doesn't matter what skill level you are, man, woman, whoever, you can all play pickleball. It encourages people, the kids, teenagers, and whoever else spends a lot of hours on their computers or phones, get them out on the courts with family members, friends, new people that are out there. It's a good introduction to it. But first, and of course, for myself, it's the physical activity of it all and exercise that I'm sure we all need and enjoy. However, instead of being in my front room doing sit-ups and push-ups, I know I myself would rather be out on the pickleball court playing pickleball and enjoying the fresh air. That's my little spiel. I think we're here for basically what we want to do is first and foremost, before I had started this, I want to thank you guys for giving us the opportunity to hear us. Thank you very much for that. But we are here to discuss regarding the court that we have and the possible going forward of expansion. Joe, I think you're up.
Okay, so the court that we have now, it requires repainting. And we kind of would like the whole thing kind of painted like pickleball court. And if that isn't possible, then at least have the lines repainted. And the maintenance that they're doing, they took out the boards that were along there, which was great. They were kind of dangerous, a big spikes sticking out of them and whatever. And then they put in gravel, but then the gravel went all over the court, and it's really dangerous to have stuff on the court when you are playing pickleball. So the gravel, Kathy came yesterday and cleaned it all up. And so, okay, yeah, we had to blow it up. And same with when they cut the grass. When they trim the grass around, well, all the grass is inside the ball court, so then somebody has to come with the blower and clean it all up before we can play on it, so we would appreciate if they would like do a, you know, complete job when they're doing their grass cutting and their, and now again too, the gravel that was there, it isn't quite high enough, and so the ball goes underneath the fence all the time. So if there's something can be done about that, that would be great. Painting the pickleball court, Kathy has, like most pickleball courts are painted blue, I think she
Blue and
said.
green, right? The kitchen part of a pickleball court is divided into sections. One, come in, Roger. One is blue, right, on the kitchen part, it's 7 feet, and the rest is painted green. So this makes it rich, just be different. But may not mean anything to people here that don't play football, but it definitely means a lot to people.
Sanitization. Yeah.
Jump in just for a
Sure,
second.
please do.
So there's a big hole in the fence, that's what's happening, that's where the ball's going over.
But it's also going right out
Yeah.
underneath now,
That's right.
because they removed the board.
So the fence needs repair.
Yeah, yes. Yeah, so that for sure. The other thing is if we could get another court out this way, we have an unused tennis ball court that could make at least 2 pickleball courts. There's lots of times that there's many of us there and we sit and we wait. So, you know, it's, and we've gone by many times and there's many people, we've stopped there after school with our grandchildren and butted in with other kids that were playing and asked if we could play because, you know, there's just not enough pickleball courts for the town. For what the town.
Who owns the tennis courts? That's what we should start.
Also, we did try and put lines in the gazebo. But it's way too dark in there, so we need some light in there, and it would be a great place. There's many times that it's raining or it's way too windy and we can't play. So if we had something indoors like the unused gazebo would be great for those kind of times.
Well. Yeah, that, especially for if it's raining or something, you still play. The gazebo is the Kinsman's though, it's not the town's. Unfortunately, they still own that. So that is another avenue that we should look at besides the property that the town owns, but the Kinsmen do still control that.
So when we, excuse me, so when we had the permission, I think it was from the town.
Yeah.
To paint the lines in the gazebo, it was from the town, not the Kingston.
Yeah.
I think it was,
No,
no,
It was both.
it was the
We
Kingsman.
contacted Ken,
Yes.
yeah.
I spoke to
There it is.
Grant Paris,
The other question.
and he had said, just go ahead.
Doesn't matter, it doesn't work.
Yeah.
The gazebo is a wonderful space,
We need
but
lights.
not for pickleball.
Yeah, because there's no fencing, there's nothing to protect that ball from, and not all of us are that good.
Yeah.
Ball goes all over.
You missed it, Paul. You missed it. Chase it all over the place.
Okay, so I guess the tennis ball court, another place that was suggested was the curling rink in the winter time, in the summertime. An indoor, or an indoor, but we like the exposure where we are too, so that people know that there is pickleball in the town and other people would use it, yeah.
The other thing, just to add to that, as much as we'd like I said, the curling rink, there's not enough sort of exposure there. We don't have enough exposure in a town to promote that there is pickleball. Or possibly the other location could be the skating rink in the Everco as well. There's a lot more people that go through there. There's weddings that go into there. There's, events that are held in there. You can put a big sign, pickleball courts, whichever. So that's another avenue we can, because there's a lot more exposure over there, right?
Yeah, the arenas is open.
Yeah.
What we're suggesting is to use the infrastructure we got. We could ask for grants, and I know you guys have a grants society, or we have people hired on, and we could apply for a grant, and I would love to see me go to youth center, pickleball. To a bigger, but we can use the infrastructure we got, right? Like I know the curling rink is, and I know you, Amy, you're a curler, so you don't wanna get rid of it, right?
No.
But we can encompass it, and we could probably form an association, and right now, we're playing for free, right? And I think for everything that we do in life, when is everything ever free? So we could join the pickleball association, which we can, give us liability insurance. And then we could carry on from there, but I just wanna put it in your heads that one day you guys may be the ones who wanna play. We're the people starting on the grassroots here. It's a growing sport, fastest growing sport in the world. Right now, I'm not saying it's gonna be forever. But right now it is, so why not? All of us are enjoy, never mind just the physical part, the social part. That it brings to the community is impeccable. Like, we have so much fun.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it's so much fun, and I wish you guys would come out and have fun with us. But later on in life, you probably find or will choose to take the time to do that. But it's just great for the mind,
Yeah.
body and soul.
How many days a week do you guys play ish?
3 days.
Oh,
Yeah.
And is it fairly like specific times that you guys meet? Just, I'm thinking if the tennis court was, like, would there be like a problem if the court was used for other things? I know kids not a lot hang out there,
Absolutely
but
not.
some.
Absolutely not. I think the school should be encompassed.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Because I think the Aspen School Division, they should be able to use that as well. So the skate park could remain as well. I think we gotta start with the infrastructure we got. We got the fence but.
Yeah.
I'm saying that like this, but it's for sure 100 grand. For sure. Resurface what's there.
Put up a fence.
And we do the dividing fences, but it has to be, I could draw some drawings out if we really wanted to, like if it comes to that. But we need to get some grants somewhere. Right, we can't, it ain't gonna happen just
And the spaces sure can be used for different things where we go in the winter time.
Uh-huh.
Our tennis courts become 2 pickleball courts at certain times of the day.
See?
And then at other times of the day, it's 1 tennis court. So it's definitely can be.
But we have no tennis players right now. I've been here for 6 months,
We just have nowhere to. play.
used to.
We just
But
have
they're
to
not
word it.
using
You
them.
can pick it up.
No, because we have, you know, this $50,000 fence sitting there. We got a warm believe skate park that's non-existent because it's just not adequate for the kids don't like it. Right? You go to other towns around, I'm not saying we're a small population, and I get we're limited to how much we wanna do, how much we can do. But we have to start somewhere to make a change, and pickleball right now is probably something that we can do, but I would love to see the school involved. And right now, we try to go play in the gymnasium, but the logistics are too strong, too hard, they don't wanna let us in. It'd be like the curling league, I'd love to go play in the curling league, but who's got the key?
Yeah.
What's wrong with installing a keypad? Yeah, what's wrong with installing a keypad? Right. The lower doors are locked, you need washroom access, and right now the gazebo sometimes. Earlier when we started, even the washrooms weren't open. And we're talking about a bunch of elders here, like when we move, we gotta go pee. You know, like, not necessarily that way. Not necessarily that way, but I know. It's just the way it is. All I'm asking for open-mindedness, I'm willing to, we need another court. We can't do another court, I looked at it, off the gazebo, the drainage system, we cannot put another court where we are now. Now, number two would be, how can we use that space where the pickleball court is now? Could still stay, I guess. It's a pad. The boys did a really nice job the other day cleaning it all up for us. Helped a lot. Safety factors involved.
Oh,
Yeah.
Kathy, how many members?
Well, it really,
Usually
never had 12 of us seniors that come out those 3 days at 9 o'clock in the morning. But we can't just focus on the 9 or 12 of us, right?
Yeah.
We need to focus it to where it's open to everybody and accommodate kids and
County and town.
Yeah.
town, community. I mean, we look at the smaller towns like Lamont, I think, has the curling rink for theirs, and they open the doors and all this kind of stuff. I know Alberta Beach, the same thing, even though they have an outdoor skating rink, that's where they play. Didsbury, which I think has a population of 350, they have a pickleball court on there as well, right? So yeah, it's open it up to everybody, community wise, county wide. What myself and I think others would like to see is the county or the town of Smoke Lake be the hub of pickleball in the surrounding area, instead of us having to drive out to Fort Saskatchewan or St. Paul
Yeah, Redwater.
or Redwater.
Plus the high school uses it too as
Well,
well.
the high school, I
They have
hear,
their own courts in
they
the
have in the gym, but they don't
They were using it.
yeah, what I don't see is, correct me if I'm wrong, they say the high school kids play pickleball as part of it. Yeah. But they say they don't have enough equipment or whatever to have the junior high involved, right? And those are the kids you wanna catch, the 12-year-olds, the 10-year-olds as well, to get them forward, right?
no,
I just wanted to ask about I know you had reached out to the Kinets. I was just wondering if you ever heard anything back from them.
You know, they were gonna put it on their agenda, weren't they?
Yeah, but-
For the light, no, they were gonna fix it because the pigeons, like the pigeons were, they do, that's why. that's
Oh, in the gazebo, okay.
That's for that.
I just wanted, and any other egg society, I don't wanna duplicate anything if you haven't reached out, no,
No.
they're not the egg
We
society.
reached out to them to open the bathroom door for us.
Oh, okay, so that was the
They
only,
had no problem whatsoever, they said it should have been open before, they couldn't understand why they weren't, so.
and that's for the
The
gazebo?
Yeah.
But the egg society for having it in the winter time indoors, you've never reached out or
No,
anything like
no.
that, okay.
Just this school, we reached out to
Okay.
a teacher who's part of our pickleball group that she
Yes.
only can play in the summer when she's on school, but she was just too busy to get anything going in the school, so. And like Roger said, it probably isn't very good in there anyway, so.
No, the time factor is not right in this school. We are all retired, which is a problem.
Yeah,
Right.
is that a problem?
No, it's a fun problem to have. It's a fun
Terrible
problem. But the clock just shrinks. we play at 9 in the morning, the working people can't play.
Yeah.
Right, so we'd have to probably. The logistics would have to change a little bit, the time factor for if you wanna come out and play at 7 o'clock in the evening, right now you'd be by yourself.
That's why I can't go.
Now we hear we have.
Okay, well-
It's not in your network.
You can phone us and if
You'll
you're
come?
still not.
And we'll come, absolutely.
No, I said we got our phone. We're coming.
All right.
And thank you. And so just to, three things. So to speak on, I like what you said, Roger, to have open-mindedness. So number one, I'm thinking, would the drop-in center be something suitable for an indoor court, or is there not enough space because of the pool tables?
No, you could put one in there, that's for sure.
Where?
The drop-in center.
Just down the street?
We had, a couple of years ago, I had addressed that as well. I mean, 4 years ago, I think,
Yes,
not
I
longer.
remember.
I have had addressed that as well. The members there possibly not understanding to what pickleball was all about. We're scared that we would hit the balls hard enough to break the windows and all this kind of stuff, so they weren't quite on board to.
I really appreciate your mindset, but we need 2 courts.
Okay.
You don't think you're.
What we're saying- We need to find a way of doubling what we have now.
And that's okay.
At the lowest
We
cost
can take it
possible,
off the
like-
table.
Let's save the infrastructure, no, don't take it off the table, it's fine, I respect your opinion.
No, true.
But we already have 1 court. I know it would be great for winter for the
For the
ones of
winter.
us that are here, most of us leave to go play pickleball in the States because we can't play here.
Thank you, Roger. And then to add to that, so in terms of the 2 other things I wanted to speak about, so awareness, is there anything the town could do with social media and posting to add to building your club? And then the last thing would be in terms of, at one point, Kathy, you and I spoke about, would there be an opportunity to do intergenerational where Kathy would teach or people from the group?
Yeah, oh, definitely.
So,
That's-
and
Teach all
to,
That's it's on the table.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. to make that move forward and to grow. your
Well, progress,
Yeah.
right? It's just straight out progress, and right now we have an opportunity, I think it is the fastest growing sport on this earth right now, don't ask me why. It's a social aspect, that's why we're all here.
But you've got me.
That's why we're all
Yeah.
here. No, you're right, and what we need is. People just, doesn't have to be now, like we've got, in a year from now, I'm thinking like, we got a year to build up to this. We can talk about it, talk to the Kingston but if the town, yeah, I would really love to see the tennis courts converted. All we have to do is leave it there, just pave over top,
Yeah,
and we could still make it for tennis,
it can be both.
yeah.
I'd like to finish the point that we were discussing with Kathy. And that is when it comes to the drop-in center, you said that you did approach the drop-in center 4 years ago, but I was gonna suggest that it is considering the changeover there in the board, and so I would suggest that you do that again, just to see, because even if it is only 1 court, it is
It's an
still a
indoor
great
court.
space, it's an indoor court. Cause I would like to actually reiterate some of the points that have been said here so that moving forward, and that is, what I'm hearing is that we have the outdoor space that you want when the weather is good. But we also need an indoor space when the weather is bad, when it's raining, and then also the option you would like to continue this year round so that there's a winter option.
Correct.
Okay, so let's start with the outdoor one too, because you do have a court. I heard that there's some pretty, what you just said here, there's some pretty easy wins for us to make. I heard about a fence where the balls are going under in the gravel. So there are, to the current court that you have, there's some pretty short-term, easy wins that we
Yeah.
can do for you
Exactly.
today, correct? So it just so happens that we have our public works manager here and everyone that's presented. So could you give us that list in short order again too? There's a hole under the fence, like you said, there's gravel.
Yeah.
Well, they removed the
4 by
4x4s and then they put gravel, but now the gravel isn't as high and so the ball goes right underneath the fence.
Okay.
Plus, there's
Yeah.
a big hole there.
Plus, there's a big hole at the north end.
They
So-
used-
so all that
they used to be a school. We used to flood it and the boards were put there, they were 4x4s. And they did a fine job cleaning it all up. I asked Eric from the town. And John was involved on that one and they did it, right? All we need is a bit the chain link got bent from lots of shots, so behind the nets, where the nets were. The fence got through, and when they're scraping, the fence got bent, and it's just
Maybe more gravel, I don't know.
Additional gravel, that's
Maybe
what it is.
additional
a little
gravel.
bit more. Probably do this, right?
Yeah.
Couple of pieces of wire, but that only takes care of still the court we have existing. What we need is to double. We need 2 courts. I don't care how we look at it, guys.
Yeah.
We need 2 courts,
And then just
okay?
You also said painting, so explain that to me.
paint just repaint the lines that are there already.
Repaint, so the lines that are there are fine, they just need to be repainted.
And was the town ones that painted it originally?
No, my sister and I painted
Oh.
those lines in,
Yeah,
so.
Yeah.
but now we would like to turn it over to the town because it gets out there.
I don't know, if I get down to painting lines, I may never get up.
Exactly, like,
Okay, so that makes, because that's easy wins for us to do, it's just fix up the current court that you have.
For this summer, yeah.
So that you can-
For the
Yeah.
summer, correct.
For this summer, but I wanna still project ahead to, we need 2 courts.
and also when they attached the net to the court, they did not do it evenly. And so it really should be centered properly too.
Okay,
If it's not centered properly, it makes a difference because the net goes lower in the center, so it does
Higher in
make a
the end.
difference.
Okay, so our time is coming and so we have a spot in the agenda a little bit later on to discuss it between counselors. So we'll bring it back, we'll talk about it there and then we'll have it and let you know what we've come up
So
with.
we have a grant facilitator,
Yep.
okay, so.
How do you know that?
Thank you for pointing that out.
I would ask your permission to ask FCSS to help us to see what's out there. Right, I can work with, you know.
We're gonna talk about it at a little bit later on in the
Yeah,
agenda,
yeah,
but we
please,
we
yeah.
know you have a little connection there.
And but consider it not.
No.
This is this is separate,
Yeah, no,
This is for the whole
but
town.
we already have. So let's see what's out there.
good. Well, thank you for coming and bringing
You guys.
Thank
all of
you.
you for listening.
Thank you.
Very volunteer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And we're passionate.
Yeah. We look forward to seeing you all on the.
The brownie.
9 o'clock.
I drive by all the time in Lima, you guys.
Do you?
I do.
You should just stop and we'll
You,
do that.
well, you guys don't want me to come, you don't have to. I love saying, you know what, that's.
Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you, thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you, Kathy.
Thank you. Thank you.
All right,
See you guys.
see you. Yeah.
Exciting. Yeah. So we'll move straight to 6.1 administrative reports. And yeah. Did I have any questions regarding them? Marianne?
So I can put the motion on the table. I move that the town of Smith Lake accept for information the administrative reports for May 29th to June 18th, 2025, which include the CAO meetings, administration, fire, development, FCSS, and public works.
No?
I just had one question, for administration. So the dust control was put down. And I'm a little bit biased, obviously, I live there, but you stop right before the construction site where they're building a house and there's lots of big trucks going through and then isn't done to the corner.
We picked up some work,
Oh, you ran out.
yeah,
Oh, okay. I was like, seriously, guys, right behind my house with a construction site, you're killing me.
we're just some more, we're yet to apply that.
Cool, thanks.
And if I may,
Marianne?
so would that be the same for the opposite street that runs by the UFA? Is you ran out as well, or?
I'll have to double check that. I'll have to check with the guys. I was actually not here that day that they applied it, but I'll look into that.
Okay. Evelyn?
I'm referring to an email on May 27th. You said that, and this is directed at you, Crystal. So you said that at the June 23 meeting, there were about the sidewalk project, the 2 sidewalk projects. Where are we at on that? Because it wasn't included in today's agenda package.
So, are you referring to the sidewalk projects from last year?
The two that are outstanding, the one by the
Maybe a
library.
question for John.
The school sidewalk.
The school and.
So
Provincial.
So what I'm referring to an email where Crystal
Oh.
said, can I please bring this to a June 23rd meeting so I can do the research for the 2 sidewalk projects? I will bring a completed update.
That's the provincial building and the library sidewalk I believe you're referring to. I haven't had a chance, to be honest with you, to look into that. I do know. Council wanted to pay half of the provincial building. I have to bring it back just to.
Yeah,
double
no,
check.
that's fine. You said that you were gonna bring it to June 23rd, so I
sorry.
looked for it
I
and then it
missed
wasn't there. And then that is also something that you will be like, John, because it is partially public
So
works
those are
as
all-
well.
Yeah.
I'll speak to the provincial bill. Just thought, I wasn't involved with that. My understanding is, that they were not willing to pay for any portion of their sidewalk there. This, I wasn't involved with that. That was, the previous administration there, but
Okay.
that's just what I
What you
heard.
remember?
Okay. So it is an outstanding, we've allocated capital. Regardless of what happened, then in that case, then we need to come revisit it and whether it comes off the capital or whatever have you. My focus has been cleaning up as many outstanding projects with our capital budget because this is from previous budgets and is being carried over. So we'll just leave it at that. We're getting it because you need an opportunity to go through all of this
We'll bring it
and
back in
to
July.
bring it back.
Mel?
Yeah, just a little, I think you're right, there's funds in the capital budget, but I don't think there would be enough, so we'd have to either add funds to it or remove it, because there was a discussion about the reason why that sidewalk needs to be replaced, and so that's why half the onus was going to be on the provincial building and the caretaker that they had hired at the time to take care of that side, their sidewalks and stuff. There was some, so it's a little bit deeper dive, but yeah, for sure. I think we had only allocated enough for half.
Yeah.
So but that does need to
One
come
way
back
ahead.
because it's still an outstanding project on our capital.
Marianne?
And thank you for that. So I somewhat disagree, but I'm gonna ask John, so you meant to say previous, not administration, but public works, right?
Previous administration was in discussion with the provincial bill.
Oh, okay, sorry, I misunderstood then, thank you. And I disagree with what you're saying, Councillor Coase, because until we actually see something in front of us, like John added today, but I'd like to see a report or a document to say that we're not doing the project so that it would be taken off or the funding would be reallocated. So until that comes back in July, you can sway me, but right now, I think we need to see something in front of us, that report or something.
No, I think
I think
that's
what
what,
she's asking.
that's what Evelyn's asking. Just more information so we can make a decision on what we're doing next. With,
Right, but we didn't know that,
I don't need to sway you because you just repeated in different words what I said.
but until now, we didn't hear anything from Public Works to say as to why that's not being done. Because of the provincial building.
And that's because John is present and wanted to jump in and say something, but otherwise, it's here, and Crystal said that she'll bring it to the next meeting.
okay, any other questions on what's in the report? If not, I'll call the question.
Healing.
No, sorry. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Right, we'll move to 7.2, the delegation on behalf of the local pickleball group. Go ahead. I was just gonna say, the tennis courts, are they? Like, what's been the holdup for doing anything with them? I don't know much about that. No?
I believe the background on that is it was also a club and a grant, and so we would have to address that. I think it's a great idea. I think that we should look at forwarding this to adding it to budget. Cause there is you, like, for increasing the amount of pickleball courts, obviously. There are some small things that we can do now. One would be, I'm on the Egg Society, I can take the request and talk to the Egg Society, see if that's an option for the winter. It's right across the road. Councilor Coves pointed out some things that Public Works can help with. There is a thing called rock glue. And you spray it on the rocks so that they don't move. And I just want you to know it's $5 or $5, it's $45 for 3 liters of it, because I'm getting it for my house. And I just, as they were talking, I was like, that is a good idea, because then it doesn't move, but it looks good. You could build it up. And anyways, it's something to look into. I'm not exactly professional on this, but there's a couple things. Yep.
There's mulch glue.
There's mulch glue, rock glue, yes, there's a few things that we can look at doing to help them out. I think when you consider the amount of people that are playing pickleball, they talk like it's not that many. But compared to the curling club has how many members? Only like 25 to 30, like, and they have 12.
45.
Is there 45?
Yeah.
Oh, there goes the sweeper. Just not sweeping, it's driving. So those are, I just think,
No, that's a great.
I think it's a great start. Also, I think it's something that we should look into talking to the school about, for like phys ed classes, it's right there. But there's a couple things, so I would be willing, I think that we should forward this on to budget time though, for sure, for doing something with the creating more courts.
And grants, is there like?
Of course, in the RFD. Okay, because if I'll jump in the RFD, it says that we actually have a recreation reserve of $46,170 remaining. So,
Yeah, I did see
and
that, but
then
what was that?
in the budget financial.
Yeah. What was that reserved for typically, or what?
This is a very old reserve that's been there for many, many years.
Okay.
I know we used to have a recreation mill rate, tax rate,
Right. Okay, so
and I'm
that's.
not sure if that was put in for future recreation.
Okay. Evan?
I can, this would need to be confirmed, but I have had seniors at the senior drop-in center say that that was originated, that mill rate for rec was actually earmarked for the walking trail, to pave part of the walking trail. That is where it apparently originated. And again, I'm hearing that anecdotally. I don't have anything in front of me as proof of that, but apparently when it was originally, I would go back as far as Mayor Carol Carpenter, I believe. Yeah, she was in for, it would be the council where Vern Billy was a counselor, because he is the one that was sharing that with me, but apparently that was the council that originated the rec fee for paving the walking trail. So that's just so now that we're talking about this recreational reserve, there is some background or information on that. But having said that, have we dipped into that reserve at all for anything recreational? Okay.
Sorry, Kristen. I believe we just did for the golf course.
That's where the 12,000, okay.
Yes. Marianne?
Thanks. Thank you. So what I was hearing from even Mr. Roger, we were hearing that it was $100,000 to maybe resurface the tennis courts, the existing ones. But I'd like to, for today, I like the idea of it coming back to the budget. But for today, I'd like to ask if we could have a motion maybe that the town could provide some support in social media advertising. And if either Kathy or Roger would be the contact person, if there was more questions from the community members to join in and help grow the club. And yes, the ask of the second court should come back to a budget. Would that be all right as a motion, not only accepting the delegation, but that will provide support from admin for advertising and social media posts?
Well, I also wanted to know if John thought it was, if you were able to fix the small parts of what's already existing, like the rock to defense.
Gotta do that.
That and the painting and all that is doable.
Just remove the weeds and stuff that were growing between the fence and the pad, and we put down gravel.
Sounds like they're happy with what's happening, but it's the other little
It
bits.
just needs to be cleaned up a little bit, so.
Okay, and the painting's okay too? I didn't know that's.
I'll have to go
See
into
the
that.
color?
And
Okay. Evelyn?
So I think that that's an easy win for us right now. So can we make some sort of motion to direct public, and you love making the motions, so I'm tossing you.
I'd like to make the motion for Public Works to work with the pickleball group to fix some of the small outstanding issues that they have, like the hole in the fence, the gap between the gravel and the fence, and to update painting the court.
Good. All in favor?
I'd like to make another,
Carrie? Mel?
can I make another motion for the request for two new pickleball courts to be forwarded on to the initial next budget meeting for next year, next fiscal year.
Okay, so you really,
Sorry, I went quiet. I was thinking and I wanted to make a motion for the discussion for two extra pickleball courts, or the tennis court to be turned into two pickleball courts, or whatever it looks like, to be forwarded on to a budget discussion
And
at the next budget meeting.
can we add anything there about looking for grants? So that it's, or is that something that we just do?
shall we make separate motions for that? So we'll
Okay.
finish with this one, but I do like, you're going in the right direction, that's why. So, it looks like we're gonna actually have quite a few motions. The pickleball people have us making motions left, right, and center. So, yeah, I like that one.
Okay, all in favor? And then Mary Ann, you wanna accept and
Yeah.
add the social media?
Certainly, would that be okay?
Yeah.
I move that the town of Smoky Lake accept for information the presentation by the 7 members of the pickleball group, and I don't know if we won't need to name them or just have the pickleball group on behalf of the local pickleball group regarding additional courts in the town of Smoky Lake, and that our admin reach out to either Kathy or Roger and create some social media postings for advertising and contact information.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried, and then Evelyn, you wanna make the last motion?
So, in the one that, the tennis courts is actually an easy win right now, because actually where this conversation started originally was just to move it's blocked, both tennis courts are blocked right now with the skateboard apparatus, however you want to describe it, and the original ask, which happened in casual conversation, was could we just move the equipment so it covers up one of the tennis courts so that they could open up the other one? Now, I don't know the shape of that tennis court. I don't know if that's then too dangerous or whatever, but that was the original ask.
John?
There's some photos,
Yeah,
So the grass, yeah, I don't think I saw.
there's quite a few major cracks or around the grass to grow through. And I'm not sure what the material is and what the options would be to repair that. I'd have to get some more information for that.
No,
They'd also need a fence, because they'd be chasing that ball
it is.
pretty, no, it's fenced, but the whole thing is fenced.
Oh,
A
it's so
pickleball
halfway.
court is very small, so their ball would be, they'd be getting more exercise than they wanted to get. Chasing that ball, there would need to be a fence across for sure, because half of the tennis court makes 2 pickleball courts.
Evelyn?
I'm not the one asking, they're the ones asking.
I think we just heard 2 different things, is all I meant. I heard that.
But I think you were talking about a start, like a place to start with the tennis court.
Yeah,
would be
'cause
to
they-
clean half and have them have two courts on the one.
Yes, so the reason why they're here is because I had a conversation at the senior center with Kathy, who said, can you please move those skateboard items so that we can have access to at least one tennis court, because we can turn it into 2. So they want it now. And I said, I don't know enough about this, and this is not, like, that's when I said, come to us as a delegation. So that is why I'm asking, is it 2? She's under the belief that if we could just move some of that equipment, that they would have access to the one.
To trial it. John?
The skate park only takes up about like maybe 25% of the total area. So there would be room to add quite a few pickleball courts without moving the skate parks. equipment.
Okay.
Or they're
Okay.
trying to use the lines on the same.
That, yes, she, apparently from what I'm looking at too in the pictures, we've put it right across 2 cords. Whereas if we moved it and just put it on the 1 court, then it frees up 1 tennis court. Am I,
No, that's what I,
We can,
no.
we can make it easy. John can just talk to them, because
Yeah.
that's easily.
It's true.
movable.
yeah, okay, but so then that's part of it too, is just, we can actually help them now today with another option, just by moving the skateboard park.
For now.
Instead of having it this way, moving it this way. That's what,
Okay.
and then the rest of it can all fall into place.
Yeah, my only concern, and I think that's great if that's what it works out to be, but my concern is that if we move it, it's not prepped enough, there's no fence there, there's no net there, like that it's gonna turn into a big thing that might not be able to be done. If they can use it with the way they have it this year, then that's great, and I think that's helpful, but if they can't, I'm just not sure that
We're ready.
we're ready to take it on, that tennis court on, and do it properly. Like, it needs to be resurfaced, and another fence needs to be put in, and proper nets. The other way, I think, for pickleball, but yeah, if that helps both, that'd be great. I think Public Works can definitely just deal with Kathy and
Yeah,
them on that.
that okay, John?
He loves it.
Do we want a motion then for that, or that'll involve with the painting and the?
It's easy enough to make a motion. We can make a motion for Public Works to discuss if it would be helpful to move the skate park equipment off to just a different side so that they're both usable. If they could potentially this year use the tennis court as part of their pickleball.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, or carried. And then, do you wanna make the grant motion, Evelyn? No.
I'll make a motion that the not FCSS, I'm gonna make a motion that the town of Smoky Lake look into seeing if there is any recreational grants to help potentially offset the cost of creating new pickleball courts in our community.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, we will move to 7.4, Smoky Lake RCMP detachment funding. Evelyn? Or I thought you had.
No, I'm gonna make the first motion that Town of Smoky Lake provides sponsorship to the Smoky Lake RCMP detachment in the amount of $400 to support the community engagement activities, including the Smoky Lake Heritage Days Parade and Halloween event within the Town of Smoky Lake in response to the RCMP detachment's loss of federal funding for their annual hospitality budget and be allocated from the 2025 operating budget entitled Grants to Individuals and Organizations.
Any discussion? Not. I'll call the question. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Evan?
So I do like the option of adding another one. Option 2 gives us an idea. I just want to add in there that it's Vilna and Wasetna. What's the money? I'm not even sure about the RC. They had. It says here's the county to challenge the county, but it's actually, I think, village. Vilna and Wasetna with. So that's what I just wanted to kind of spitball. I don't think I've ever used that word in these changes before. Is spitball. The next motion, because you have you've got the right bones to this, but you need to reword it to make it very specific to Vilna and to Wasetna as well.
Mel? I thought you had tried, sorry.
I did, I'm second guessing myself. I also like it. I just, I really hate when the county challenges us.
So do
Like, I
I.
absolutely
Yeah,
hate it. So I think
Yeah.
I'd just like to leave it, that we're gonna take care of our own, and
Somebody, yeah,
maybe somebody will get wind of it and be like, hey, that's a good idea, you guys. We should do that.
make them feel bad rather than just, Evelyn?
I so second that one. Which is why when I read that, I was like, I don't want to do that, but I do actually like the idea of letting the other 3 municipalities know. Because RCMP are not allowed to ask us for access to this funds. Which is why I added it, I tabled it so that RCMP doesn't get in trouble for coming to a municipality and saying, hey, we're poor. So now that we've done it, that actually gives us some sort of venue to now County, Vilna was set now, can you guys cough up $400 each as well too? Because the original fund was what, $1,500, I think it was?
Yeah.
The original one is that I think it was $1,500, so of that, we're 400, so what is the remaining $1,100 amongst the other three?
Well,
What do you think of just letting administration bring it up at their administrative meeting? Just to let them know that that they can't ask for the money, it has to be offered.
Do they still have those?
Mm.
I,
I assume
scheduled.
so. Oh,
Yeah, so.
if we make it an emotion that it has to be put in front, I don't actually trust some of the others. Yeah, I would like to put in a motion so that we're guaranteed that it's put in front of councils. Rather than leaving it up to other CAOs to determine whether to put it in front of their councils.
Okay, do you want me to make? I think, no, I can make.
You're the queen of motion.
I'll make a motion that the Town of Smoky Lake administration forward on to Wasetna, Vilna, and County of Smoky Lake councils, just that to reiterate that the RCMP have lost their funding for community events and to forward on the motion that we have made here today regarding the $400 that we're donating.
That sounds good. All in favor? None opposed? Carried. Okay. 7.5, update on municipal agreements. Crystal, do you wanna?
Council made a motion to bring back the agreements for the Lions Dog Park, Devonian Billboard, Esso garbage cans, Aspen View land transfer, Aspen View daycare, and the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society agreements. Is there any questions on administration's update?
No.
So they have the SO, they're unable to empty those garbages.
Yeah.
What are we planning on doing? Because we had somebody on the weekend doing it, right? Not this last weekend, but I mean in the past,
Yeah.
on weekends doing it. Which if somebody is working the weekend, but if we're paying somebody to come in overtime to empty garbage cans. I just would like to know what the game plan is for that, because there is a restaurant there and picnic tables there and garbage cans there. So I get it. I'm not sure how you don't have the staff to empty a garbage can because the staff is already there. I don't think that's a fair answer, to be perfectly honest. I worked at a gas station and part of my job was to empty the garbage cans, so that's confusing to me. And they better not be on their property. That's all I have to say. They better be on town property.
Miriam?
And I echo what Mel is saying. I think it's important maybe to have those good working relationships, and we want our town to look good. More importantly, maybe, do you know a reason why they wouldn't enter into an agreement with us? Like, is there not a benefit to the company to work together, or?
Which is the staff shortages.
When I look at some of these items, as much as I hate going into closed session, I'm actually gonna recommend that we go into closed session, because I think a lot of the information that we're discussing was previously discussed in closed session.
Can we defer this one? Like, cause these, like, I know I hate doing that, but just for time for today, like not because, we have we're only in 7.
I'm okay with that, but my suggestion is, may I speak off? I just wanted additional information on number 2.
Okay.
And then if
Well, yeah, you can ask
just
that. I just
promise
thought-
one minute, and then I'd look at me deferring or, okay. So number 2 is the Devonian Park billboard agreement. What does it mean when you say it's in progress? Because there's a motion, but it's quite old, or aged. I'm gonna speak on it.
Am I allowed to speak for the matter?
Yeah.
I had spoken to the chambers and we've been waiting for weather permitting for the chambers to do their work, so we said it's in progress because they have it on their like priority list. So I've spoken to the chambers and they said that by the end of this month, that they will have all the boards and everything scrubbed up and sanded down, like the black stuff off of it.
Yeah.
And then get it sealed. And then there's still the portion of having to buy the lockbox, but that's the first thing that they've committed to, and they said that they would have that done by the end of June. So I think the communication's ongoing, but that was the last date that we were able to get it done.
Thank you. I so appreciate that. Thank you. So because the motion was in progress from maybe last year, and I'm concerned, I just want it to look nice for Heritage Day and going forward, Pumpkin Days. So is it fair then to say, could I make a motion? And that would tie in with what you said, and thank you for providing that update. So that I'd like to entertain a motion that administration reach out to the chamber president, Noel Simpson, that if there is an extension required that the work cannot be completed by the end of June and an extension is required, that we just hear back from him at our July 14th meeting. For that, not part of my motion, but just to have that good communication and working collaboratively, and it makes the town look good. So I'm very happy for that. Thank you, Michelle. And so that earlier part would be my motion, if that's okay with council. And then we're all on the same page in the same book.
Well,
Go ahead and do the motion first.
all in favor? None opposed, so carried. No?
My only question then, can we accept these for information except for
Yeah.
the one that I'd like more information from?
Okay, or defer?
Yeah.
The suggestion was to defer it, so.
Just to defer the number 3 though, like, can we accept everything else and bring back? Or is there more that people wanted, I guess was my question.
Well, there's several of them that I wanted to go into closed camera, and one of them was the daycare agreement and
Okay.
certain discussions that we had. That was, actions that we were gonna take about that board, but were deferred until an agreement was in place, and that agreement is now in place, so.
We'll just defer.
Okay, it's not a new discussion then?
No, it's a continuation of a closed.
Yeah, okay, well, let's defer 7.5.
With the exception of number 2.
Yeah, I guess I can write it like that, yeah.
Thank you for accommodating me.
That's a good enough motion.
Who made the motion?
I'll make it.
And that actually is one of the items that we can leave that in, all of them.
Oh, okay.
For
For
update.
updates or?
Let's just defer this.
Okay, you don't have to put exception.
Okay, just defer this.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, 7.6, 2025 draft 2025 budget document.
Pardon me. So was it deferred till July 14th? Is that the deferral or
I will put it on.
or friendly
So the
amendment?
next meeting.
Okay.
I didn't specify.
Sorry, thank you.
Okay.
Can I start the discussion on this? And I appreciate the work that has gone into this. And I'm still circling around the public engagement for the options. And I really feel that because we're in the interview process, I would actually ask council to consider deferring this until the new CAO is hired.
I was wondering if that's the direction we would want to go. Okay. Is that okay with?
I'm comfortable with that.
Do you want to make that motion?
Sure.
Yes, then.
Sure, I would.
Yeah.
Okay, do you know?
No, I just mean like, don't put it for the next meeting, because it'll be a lot.
Yeah,
Sure.
Yeah.
Time and-
or you
should I-
can put future meeting in case.
Yeah, okay, or do you want me to include the portion of a new CAO being placed or?
Whatever you want.
Swing it.
Okay, I move that the town of Smoky Lake defer the draft budget document and the public engagement session scheduling for the purpose of the 2025 budget until such time a new chief administrative officer is hired by the town of Smoky Lake.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, 7.7, Ukrainian Twinning Committee Memorandum of Understanding. Evelyn.
I'll make that motion that we accept this, but I'm just curious, why does we have a logo, a crest on the one that's in Ukrainian, but not on the first one?
Cause that's their, man, sorry,
Marion.
that's from Ivana, or that's from Kosev, that's their town logo.
So, but again, it has,
In the original document, there was all the logos that signed the MOU,
Yeah.
so it's just a graphics.
And we have ours.
but,
Or you want it on ours too? The English one? Is that what you?
well, okay, and then when you look at it. Yeah, the logo can fit into the heading and you can see that the black line below is in the, broken up into two. And then the last section, and then it's got the logo again, so it's on this one twice. And
Oh,
it
it's
doesn't fit
not-
onto, so I'm just talking about alignment, so I see that this,
I see. It's supposed to be on
It's
the
just the
top.
way it.
it's supposed to be on the top one?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
so when
it's
you
all
print it-
supposed to be on the one
The
page.
English version and the Ukrainian version.
She's just saying like the
It looks
logo
weird.
went into the second page.
Yes. it was
Okay,
the-
So it made it look like it was at the,
Format.
And it's part of maybe the Cyrillic
Yeah,
alphabet.
no, it's to do with the just.
it has to do with
Spacing.
Are you sure you want me to make a motion to say the country or?
Yeah, whatever. Oh, no, you're.
No, I want Evelyn to.
How's your Ukrainian?
You got this, because I couldn't do
The
it.
version I signed will be correct, or be.
okay, so it all fits on the one page, it's just the way that it's here.
Yeah.
It's bizarre, okay, I'm just,
Yep.
yeah, you know what I have OCD about, that's what I'm revealing with this. I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake execute the Smoky Lake Region Ukrainian Twinning Committee Memorandum of Understanding, MOU, on cooperation with an extension of 3 years, effective October 1st, 2025, to formalize the continued collaboration through the Ukrainian Twinning Committee and to pursue joint initiatives that benefit both the Smoky Lake region, Smoky Lake County and okay, that's interesting wording, okay. That benefit both the Smoky Lake County and Town of Smoky Lake and the Kosev district of Ivano-Frankivsk region in Ukraine.
Not bad. All in favor? None opposed, so carried.
I changed the wording because it isn't the Smoky Lake region, it is specifically just the county and the town. Could be because the villages have withdrawn, so.
7.8, Community Enhancement Facility Program Grant updates. I had to think if I had to remove something at all. Funds.
Wrong.
So, I brought this up, if I may.
Yeah, Mary.
Yeah, so I brought this up last meeting, I just, we had a motion where we have funds earmarked for the, budget at looking at some, work in the basement. So all I wanted was an update if the curling club had applied for the grant. And, just an update to the motion, and then we have never, we have not seen anything that would indicate the scope of work that would be done in the basement, like a quote. So we were earmarking funds, but we weren't sure if that was an amount that would correspond to the earmarked amount.
So administration is recommending to go into closed session to discuss it further to review the quote that was provided for the grant application.
Okay, so for time's sake again, is this, like, would it hurt to defer it to July? Cause I don't like, I'm trying to think when we would hear back. Mel?
Before we decide that, so the update though is that it was applied for this year?
Yes.
Okay, and so if we wanted to see the grant, then or not the application, the quote, we could go into closed session.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that's.
Evelyn?
So just a question about that. It's an estimate.
Yes.
So it's just an estimate that's been so usually when you apply for a grant, you ask one company for an estimate just to give you a number. Because that's what you use in order to apply.
Right.
So why is that estimate need to be discussed in closed session? Because if it's all successful, then don't you put out bids for? And then that's when you get an actual quote for it, because now you have the actual money. So and then and then it would be competitive. So that's why if we have just a rough estimate from somebody, why is that in closed session?
Because we got a cost estimate for the grant application from a local contractor who we use the quote for the grant application, who will, if it's approved, or when it's approved, then we will ask local contractors to provide those quotes, just so a number of people don't see, oh, okay, so that's kind of the line number that they're going for. Because the local contractor can bid who provided that quote on it. We don't want to see another contract, I'm explaining it by, but
Okay.
another contractor saying, oh, okay, I'm gonna
Do it for 10,000 less.
it's just. Yeah.
Marianne?
And so thank you, Crystal, and maybe it's just the wording, so I thought our motion that we made in December at the budget meeting was to support. So when we say we mean the curling club is
Yes.
applied for the grant, so we're just supporting them.
Curling
And the
club has-
curling club got the quotes.
Yeah, we supported the curling club in getting, it, yeah.
So they would have the choice of tendering it out or? It's a little confusing.
Being a
So maybe-
town building, I would think it would have to come back here.
Okay, so I think it's probably best we defer it. All I would like is, okay, you said it was applied for and was it for the first round or?
This is the second time we've applied. I mean, count.
And we'll know in later this year, or it probably won't be the people at this table sitting here anymore, or when was it applied for?
July, May.
Oh, it was applied for in May?
Yeah.
Okay. So it says right on the middle, the background on page 86, May 15.
Yeah.
So we would find out in
End of October.
Oh, is that when it is?
after the election, so it wouldn't concern us. Or this council, is that what you're saying?
Most likely.
Okay. So at which point I'm okay to defer it to July 14th. I don't know if there's any more that we wanna.
You gotta make the motion to defer it. Marianne,
Is it my turn?
I'm sorry, I was just picking you.
Oh, sorry, I could.
Mel's made a lot of motions. Go ahead, Mel.
I'll just make a motion that defer 7.8 to our next council meeting.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And next is 7.9, quote for the demolition of the derelict property located at 15 Willow Street, Creek Street.
Okay, so,
Marianne?
I'm not sure on this, thank you for doing all this, and the only thing about the quote. So our motion says specifically for the lot cleanup, and then when I look at the quote on page 89, I see only the word demo. And
It
I don't.
says- I'm sorry.
I don't want to assume, based on what Council Morton said last meeting, that there was. Can't read the thing. House. I don't see cleanup, do you?
I think it says house and trees as per
Request.
request,
Quote.
quote.
John,
Dust.
do you have clarification?
Grass?
So this quote does include removal of a large tree and then some of the smaller trees. There's some debris on the property that we're actually cleaning up. We cleaned up, I think, this morning. But that's just the loose stuff there, so, and then the removal of the trees will make it easier to mow and maintain.
Crystal, do you want to add? I just saw your
I
hand.
wanted to add that the contract that the town will eventually execute with the contractor will specifically say exactly what is intended and who's responsible for the removal of the debris. Yeah.
So this is just an initial quote.
This looks like a good price to me, and so you're guaranteeing then that everything would be included in the quote?
The removal of a couple of the trees that I visited the site with the contractor. And the demolition of the building and the removal of the material.
Evelyn?
Did anybody watch the video and the whole if it wasn't captured in the notes, then if we go back and you watch the video of the meeting, we were very specific on a lot of information that we wanted to have included. None of which was included in this. So I'm actually really confused when I saw this because this was quite an extensive conversation that we had in chambers in here, and a lot of the information that we asked for to come back didn't come back with us.
Crystal?
Motion provided on June 2nd was for the demolition and lot cleanup.
That's what I remember.
And that's what it says there. It's the exact same one.
I thought the concern was that the trees were maybe not included in the quote. So if they confirmed that the trees and were included, I thought that's what we were looking for. What else do you remember then?
I remember actually bringing the example of what was done before, and I even read out the motion that we did before, so most of what we discussed in that meeting has not been followed up on.
No?
Yeah, Evelyn's referring to the motion that I had made from a past demolition. That was very, very specific motion about what was going to be removed, what the lot was going to look like at the end, where it was going to be disposed of. And like it was very specific things. And there was a concern with that previous one. And so I think if we want to make this recommendation today, we just need to include in this recommendation what it's gonna look like in the end, so that the agreement looks like the same as the motion that is. So I understand what Evelyn's saying. I was a little confused too. I did expect there to be the recommendation to have a few more items in it. Just so that it matches what our expectations are. And I know some of it is operational. I get that.
And those expectations will read out in the contract that he signed. So.
Well, John?
I'd just like to add that this is not removal of all the trees on the property. There's the large tree towards the center of the property and some of the smaller trees that kind of are in the way if we were mowing. It's not that every tree in the property.
Evelyn?
This is another item that I recommend that we defer to our next meeting.
Okay, but if we were to or if we were to have the recommendation adjusted, could it prevent a deferral? Just because I don't know if there'll be new information coming back. Like, I don't know if there's any new information.
There will be, because we were very clear about this in the last meeting, and
But at this point, I don't know if administration knows what that is, that has to be brought back.
there's a video. They can listen to the video in the discussion that took place, because we were very specific. So again, I'll repeat that if they didn't take notes during that session to bring this. And I also remember very clearly, Councillor Morton pointing out that we've had problems with this before, and it had to do with paving, was it not? Some sort of asphalt? So this is why we're gonna be very clear here. And also the question of RFDs and the kind of information came up as well.
No, and I just want to be clear that the issue with the paving was a contract issue. right? And that was my concern, and that is operational, and I wanted to get it out there and say it out loud so that we don't have that problem. It is not within what we can control, but I think that we can prevent deferring this if we made the motion to proceed with the cleanup. But it just should say properly disposed of materials, like include that in there. And we can include in there, I don't want all the trees cut, I agree, though you don't, but clean up, like there's bush and the mess, and it would be nice to get this underway in the summer.
Yeah, I would,
But
I think we can prevent the deferral this time.
Yes, I am the one that added it. I am the one that really wanted to get this going. So it really does disappoint me that we're going to defer this again. And I am going to recommend that we defer because administration did not do as we requested. And if you want to go back and play the video, you'll hear
No,
the
I
exact
understand.
long, extensive conversation that we had, because there was a lot more to that conversation as well. It was also about RFDs and how information, so we're going to give admin another crack at it by deferring it to July.
I understand where you're coming from, but our admin is taxed at the moment. There's a lot going on, and I think for something like this, we can move forward without the deferral. But and it can always be worked on, absolutely. But I just feel that I think we can move ahead. Crystal?
Would it help our council to review the contract that states the conditions in there, rather than having it in a motion to defer it to review the contract?
Yes. I don't know how to answer that. Is the contract already composed or?
No.
Oh,
There hasn't been a motion to
Okay.
allow it.
Draft it just in anticipation to move forward with this, but
And you're
it's
saying,
nothing has
All
been
right, so why don't we proceed with the recommendation and then add to have the contract reviewed at when it's drafted at the next meeting or whichever.
prior to being executed.
Or, yeah,
I'm comfortable with that.
Okay.
And I am going to, because it's, I'm gonna take the motion on and I'm going to, if it's okay to not I'm gonna include the clause to not exceed $7,000. Are we okay with that? Or are we allotting for a GST that we didn't and therefore I want to see this move forward, and our window of opportunity with good weather is running short, and I don't want to put more burden on our admin, so thank you for the work that's been done. At this time, I'm going to move that the town of Smoky Lake proceed with the demolition and lot cleanup and tree removal of certain trees located at 13 Willow Creek Street in the amount not to exceed $7,000 as per the quote, and administration bring back the agreement before it's executed with the contractor so that the costs applied and that the costs are going to be applied to the tax roll number 1000117.
all in favor? Any opposed? And carried. All right, 7.10, disposal of equipment. Done.
So our last meeting there was a motion made to bring back a reserve price. After some research, a fair reserve price was determined to be about $5,000. Minimum, then looking for some direction on how we'd like to make this sale. If we'd like to put it for public tender and then people make offers. And if you'd like us to bring the offers back to the next council meeting or the council meeting after the deadline of the tender and council decides. Or if you would like us to set a time frame and just accept the highest bid if it is over that reserve price. Or if you would like to suggest a different reserve price as well.
Well,
I'm comfortable with the reserve price. I'm comfortable with advertising it, putting out to local for tender and for silent bids. And as long as you get over your reserve price, to take the highest bid without it coming back to council.
I'm comfortable with that. Jamie, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Was this not the item that we were talking about that people locally were interested in doing? So I thought, is this the way that's, because is this the way that we do this? I don't know. Yeah.
If I can answer that, yeah, in the past, that this is the way council would set like a minimum. And then give it to administration to do the bids. They're usually sealed envelopes dropped off at the office. Opened up, it can be opened at a council meeting if you want. I think we have done that, actually, now that I recall. They're open, the sealed envelopes are opened. And it's awarded.
Mary Ann first.
Okay, thank you. And I agree with Councillor Morton. So it ties into the recommendation, thank you, that was prepared from admin. And that the offers could be, the only thing I would change is just acceptance of the offers would be at the July 14th meeting, which coincides with 3 weeks from today. If that's.
And why?
In the recommendation, the reserves bids are open. At the
But why
council.
before the next meeting, if you were gonna let them accept it, if it's above 5,000?
I think I recalled that it was opened in a public meeting, so that it was actually opened in the public, so that
Envelope.
the envelopes and then it was awarded, so I was wrong on my first statement. It was opened at a meeting, so it's in a public setting, so that it's recorded and awarded.
Does that give you enough time, or should we send it to the next, for August meeting, so you guys have time to?
It says.
I know, but they have to.
Okay,
Go. Yeah. Okay, Crystal?
Yeah, and in order for us to get the advertisement together, if we wanna advertise in the Redwater paper maybe for 1 week.
I would say August.
Give it a little bit.
That,
Seems to be very,
to August,
yeah.
Yeah.
It's time to get an advertisement created.
absolutely. All right, I believe that is Evelyn's motion, if we'd like to make it. Or your turn.
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake post the sale of surplus equipment to include Unit 13 1993 Ford All-Tech AT 200 bucket truck. And administration list the equipment for public tender and consider offers with a minimum reserve price of $5,000. And the deadline for acceptance of offers to be set at 3 weeks from tender posting.
And then to bring back it, or to be opened, I guess, or to be revealed.
We brought back to our August meeting.
Yeah, brought back to
And
our
the friendly amendment is what? To bring back to
August meeting.
our August regular council meeting.
Okay, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. And 7.11 street sweeper.
So. At the last council meeting, council made the motion to bring back product specifications. So. Looking at the documents provided, it's the model that we received a quote for and that we're interested in potentially purchasing. At discretion of council is room width of 7 feet, which is I believe 84 inches for the main room, and then the gutter room adds an additional 12 inches, I believe, onto the side of that, so that would be a total width of 8 feet. And there's the broom collects the debris material in the bucket behind attached. And then we would just fill up the bucket behind it, load it off into a dump truck parked on down the street or whatever in the area. And we would proceed area by area to get it done. And it has a water dust suppression system above the brooms that would keep the dust down. Does anybody have any questions about the attachment?
Evan?
I don't have a question about the attachment. I have a question about how often we clean our streets. So I got the impression that we clean them 3 times a year. Has that been consistent Because this machine, it was purchased with a grant 15 years ago. So how many times per year does the town use this street sweeper?
The county managed street sweeper that we use. All town streets get cleaned in spring. Well, it's supposed to be spring. And then the parade route for the parade is cleaned. The week or two beforehand for the parade, which is in August. And then before Pumpkin Fair, I believe downtown and by the complex, the key areas for that event are clean.
So for the last, but now we've had it for 15 years. So we have 15 years of data that we could collect, that we can assess on how many times per year that we use the street sweeper, correct? And then you also mentioned a reserve. It says right here. You mentioned about a reserve. Existing reserve fund.
Crystal?
So the town or the county is the managing partner for the regional street sweeper and have been keeping the excess surplus funds every year and putting in it to a reserve. The reserve currently sits at 80,000. It was 60,000 2 years ago. Last year, so 2024, it's sitting at 80,000. We were also charged $100 an hour for years until 2024, where we were charged $214 an hour.
I'll let Mel, in case she has new in.
I think she wants to rebuttal that quickly. Am I okay? Okay, so what you're saying is that, just so I'm clear, we're at the end of the life cycle of the street sweeper.
Over 50.
There's a reserve, a replacement is approximately $400,000. I can tell you I haven't been happy in 7 years of street sweeping. And we didn't get told that we were doubling, so this reserve in the last year, how much money did the town put into that reserve? Because that's what they charge back to the municipalities, right? And then that money goes into the reserve.
John?
Is that how that works, right?
Yeah, so they have the insurance costs, the repair
Yeah.
costs. And then the excess
The
goes
over
into
and
the
above.
reserve. So I was told that the reserve is climbing now that they're charging us $214 an hour.
John?
And I haven't seen the invoice for this month yet, but it appears that a charge would be higher this year than last year. So
Yeah.
significantly.
The first sweep that we had before the first breakdown was $6,000.
Evelyn? There's not really a brain, like, there's no brainer here.
Okay.
Evelyn?
Okay, so going back with institutional knowledge here, going back to 2007, that street sweeper was purchased with an ACP grant. Or I might be incorrect with the ACP part, but it was purchased with a grant. So it actually belongs to us, belongs to the county, and it belongs to the 2 villages. So this is where it can get a little bit challenging because we all own it. The agreement at the time, would that be $100? This is where I'm questioning this 240 because the agreement was $100 per hour by the villages, by the town, but here's a key point, also by the county. Because all of that money was agreed upon to go into this reserve. It's a street sweeper reserve with the expectation that we, again, for repairs and everything else. So also part of this is that we should be receiving an annual report on that reserve. So when you tell us that there's that much money in it and so on, I would actually like to see that because we're supposed to be getting that on an annual basis. We're supposed to know how much is in that fund. So now, I did not know this at the time, so now I'm questioning why we're being charged $240, 14, which we probably never should have because that should, and here's where it gets going. You do have it, by the way, John, there's something else that you have correct in your RFD, but not so correct. You do reference the ICF. Now, the version of the ICF that we have is actually what's that?
That was me.
That was you? So it's been updated in 2023. So 2020 is the old version is on our website. And I just went through this because this is actually coming up with fire as well too. So what has not been part of this is we are missing a bylaw. It was a bylaw that last council passed. It's called bylaw 003-2022 protocol for regional cooperation. That bylaw is not posted on our website. I found it on the county's website. And the protocol for regional cooperation, because the street sweeper does belong to all four of us. So as a result, we need to pass this to the ICC. The only way that we can add something to the ICC is by following the protocol for regional cooperation.
No,
Is this not an ICC already? The street sweeper.
It's on, if I may, for clarification, it is included in our ICF, so our,
Sorry, our
it
ICF,
is
yeah.
in the ICF.
Yeah.
Which means that by following our protocol bylaw, which was established, this is how we get it in front of the ICC. That's how it's added to the ICC. So this is something. So I've now quoted 3 different bylaws. We have an ICF. We have a protocol for regional cooperation, and apparently we don't have an agreement for the street sweeper. This is all done by motions.
no.
Okay, so as per the recommendation in front of us, is this something in addition that we can take care of?
I
Because
should not be making this recommendation at all because it contravenes what we have said, how we would conduct our business this way. We need to make a notice of an initiative, which is included in our protocol of regional cooperation.
No.
okay, so just to, yeah, perfect. I get it. That makes sense. I don't want to incur any more bills by getting our streets swept at the cost that it's costing us. So I do want to take care of it and I want to take care of it properly. But if our first bill was $6,000, I'm not really, and I just watched the street sweeper go by, I think I would like to put a stop to this, the cost.
So when you talk about the cost.
Yeah.
The cost should be coming out of the reserve fund.
No, the cost gets billed to us because they have an employee and the street sweeper, and we have an agreement that we will pay by hour when they sweep our streets. So they are then billing us. So I'd like to put like if we can somehow come to an agreement today on something that will prevent us from continuing down this path and moving into the right direction and taking care of it properly, and I want to. And then dealing with the reserve, but unless we can make an arrangement with them that this comes out of the reserve, but I don't believe that's what's gonna happen.
I do, if I may, that is where I believe the mistake has been made. And that is probably part of the problem that this is stemming back to 2007. Is that we should never have been charged for that because the agreement was that should be coming out of the reserve. That was the whole point of the reserve.
No, we fill the reserve with paying the bill.
Yeah.
Okay, Marianne has a comment, and we're gonna have to wrap this up soon or
Okay.
defer. it.
So the good news, I saw a pile of dirt by the maintenance shop, so street sweeping has been completed for this prep.
So, sorry if I may, looks like he's still out doing a few areas. I saw him doing by the 4-way there today, so. I believe he's still working, it's still work in progress, but I believe most of it has been completed.
So we're ready for August for the parade.
No,
Pretty
that's
close.
spring cleanup.
Oh, we're so close.
This is supposed to be spring cleanup, but they had their breakdowns and they were delayed and.
So if everything's been done by motions, we should be able to cease sweeping with a motion to the county. And then we could do the proper protocol to, have everything sorted out with the reserves and no communication between $100 to $200 an hour bills. in the meantime and then move forward with purchasing the street sweeper? Is that a,
The attachment or a new sweeper?
no, our own. With the recommendation, yeah. And then, cause I'm sure those reserves would have to be divvied out as well. So that would pay back what we've spent on the sweeper. Unless we wanna push through this year with the old sweeper and pay 20,000. Anyway. Evelyn?
But we also don't have the information in front of us to justify whether or not we should buy the 13,000. Like all we're basing it on is, that we need to start cleaning our own streets, but I don't know if it's cost effective for us to do that. And that's actually why I brought up the numbers where it comes to. But how often we
Well,
do this or what, and then there's also the aspect that one of the reasons why we're doing it this way is because it might not be cost effective for us to purchase another street sweeper. Instead, we might look at contracting it out instead. Because if we have a street sweeper that's sitting there for 300 days of the year not being used, it's only used so many days, then it probably is not feasible for us to purchase one, especially because the original one, the reason why we have one in the first place is because it was bought with a grant.
Yeah, no, yeah, I understand that, but. So if we're spending 20,000 on a street sweeper versus 13 on a sweeper we can keep for multiple years. And we're using,
So respectfully, we don't have the numbers in front of us in which to make that decision.
Not, I don't know if I like the word, when you said cease, I think let's get this done with what we can. Make sure that we're done by the end of June or into July with the initial sweeping, and then the pricing we'll have to negotiate.
yeah, and that's actually that's an option as well. I was just. John?
I will be trying to challenge the incoming invoice for this month. It's based on the trajectory, it's gonna be significantly more than last year. And Public Works did actually clean a few streets ourselves because the sweeper was having issues and wasn't working
Could
properly.
we create an invoice of our hours?
I'm sure we could.
And somehow they went up, they doubled.
And I like the idea of getting that whatever you said, the intent meeting happening so that we can move things forward so that we're not racing against time for Pumpkin Fair.
Yeah, no, that's fine, just. Mel?
Okay, so to move things forward, we'll need, Evelyn, you have a motion you like in mind to move the next steps for that. I understand the contracting, we can look into that, just so that we have comparables. From buying our own attachment versus what it would cost to contract it from somewhere else. I don't know, I don't know. But better to find out if we know that or not. So we could look at a motion for administration to look into that as well. And then does that cover, because that would get us going and heading the right direction.
In the last few years, what we've paid into street sweeping.
Does that cover
Yeah, so
everything?
it is in the recommendation,
sorry.
if I may, Amy.
Yeah.
It's just that it's not broken down by year. It's 2023 and 2024 together. They're consolidated. So if you wouldn't mind to break that down into each year. Bottom of page.
Okay,
Okay, so we can bring that all back. We'll make.
I did have an RFD, I had brought that for the budget with the.
I thought I seen
the
it
last
somewhere,
5 years
yeah.
and doubled last
Then
year,
I thought
so
maybe it's
we can bring that budget up.
Okay. So. Did you make?
I just wanted, for clarity sake, to make sure that we were all on the same page and what we're looking for next steps then.
Yeah.
So, I can make a motion for administration to just bring back yet a little bit more information to the next meeting, which would include if there is a contractor, like, can we contract street sweeping services?
So you look at a budget estimate from the contractor.
Yeah.
And potentially rental of
Sure.
a street sweeper.
Yeah, sure, that would be good.
For example, the town of St. Paul contracts theirs out to the county, to the town of Elk Point, to their different hamlets and villages. So the town of St. Paul is a contractor, as an example.
Okay, and then we need to bring this to ICC then? So do we make a motion that it's brought to ICC? Is that how we wanna start, Evelyn?
What I suggest we do is that we table it. And
Okay.
because that's gonna give it, because we have two different meetings this afternoon, and that gives admin
Okay.
an opportunity to read the protocol for regional cooperation and come back with an updated recommendation how we do that. Because it will be a notice of initiative.
No?
So for that part of it, yeah.
All right, so we have a motion on the table, all in favor? Motion is carried, and then we'll talk, do we have to table it or just like actually officially motion to table that?
If we table it, and it comes back, and then that's when admin can have a better recommendation for us.
Okay, so can you,
So I'd like to make the motion that we table street sweeper attachment to skid steer until.
one more time, no, all in favor? Okay, so it's 11:45. Some of them in the new business is more straightforward than others, but I'm just curious, I'm feeling that if we close her down at 12:15, have a half hour or whatever, and be back here by 1. Do our MCC meeting and then follow with our interview. I'm assuming we'd be done by 4:30. And we should be able to conclude our meeting after that in an hour, cause it would be like, I'm thinking. And if there's anything that's gonna take too long, we'll just defer. Does that, cause I know.
Let's give as much as we can.
I think so. And then, are we, okay, and I like that idea, thank you. Should we do the closed session so that we're not keeping staff like Pam or anyone later?
Okay.
Would that be?
There's 2 or 3?
Or try and get through 8 new business and then just whatever.
Is Pam here?
Plan?
Yeah.
Yeah, oh, she's online?
But she's here, but she's listening.
Oh, I see.
Up to you.
I'm impartial, I like. We should probably.
Are
no.
are you doing this meeting in the agenda? This,
You need to call it
Oh.
a special meeting.
No, it's called a special meeting.
okay,
Or it'll be,
did you call a special meeting?
no, I did not, because I don't know why. I assumed it was, yeah. Okay, so I'll send an email for a special meeting and then you guys have the forms ready for 2:30, just before.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for,
Oh,
Mel?
can we just have a
Yes.
break?
Yeah, 2-minute break, for sure. Yeah. I'm gonna send that, you can. Right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 11:52. And we'll start with new business, 8.1, level 3, EV card repairs. Wow, these guys are. Go ahead, EV.
So just some background on it, level 3 charger was installed January 16th, 2023 through a grant. It had a 2-year warranty on components. And earlier this year, I think it was February, there was a repair needed. It cost approximately I think it was around $3,500. And there's another breakdown that just happened recently again. And the price to repair this time is $7,839. One thing that one thing I didn't mention in the RFD is that there is some economic stimulus from people using the charger and like going to the inn maybe or the restaurants and buying food and whatnot when their vehicle's charging. So that's just an additional factor to consider.
So the 5787, or that's what we've made, that like the year 23-24, like that's the income it brought in
That's
from the charger, okay,
That's the income we've brought in from the usage of it.
not horrible, but we have to re-spend it all. Evelyn?
So I have lots of questions about this. So we've only had it for 2 years and it just so happens that at the 2 years, our warranty is gone.
Yes.
Okay, so when we talk to Dandelion, they're not being friendly with us and trying to help us out. We're basically getting the middle finger. Yep, you bought it 2 years.
Yeah, yeah, no, I did try to ask them to back us up and talk to the manufacturer to see if they could warranty it. And because it was just past due the 2-year mark. I got nowhere with that. I tried myself. I got nowhere with that. And
Okay, so Dandelion's not being not being a super partner in this is what I want to establish. Secondly, question that I have, probably already know the answer to it, but I'm still gonna ask. We have a level 2 beside it, we have level 2s that are not as popular. Can we cannibalize from them? Is there parts in the level 2 that we can use in the level 3, get it operational, and then it's one of our level 2s that's not working?
I don't believe that would work in this case because it's, they're saying it's one of the transformers in it, which is like probably a 30,000 kilowatt transformer. And the level 2 chargers they have a lot less power output.
Okay, so I appreciate that, you're probably right, but I'm still gonna ask you to look into that, because if this can if this is a short-term fix, that we can use, like, make the one, let's say, down at the, right beside it, operational, so we can get the level 3 at least operational, that's an option, and that's using parts that we already own.
Mel?
And I just wanted to piggyback off of Evelyn's, it's working. Right now, it's just slow,
It's just
so it's
yeah.
acting like a level 2,
Yeah.
unfortunately. So John's probably correct, but.
Mary Ann?
Just really quickly, where are the other level 3s in town? Is that at the complex or this is the only one? Okay, sorry.
So then, no, because that's my follow-up is, where are the other level 3s? There's a level 3 at Métis Crossing, correct? Because
I don't think so.
we have that information, because we did all of that discussion here in chambers, which ones we were going to put where. We're going back prior to June 2022 and that decision was made. Because I remember whose administration then, so. I remember us in these chambers, making that decision. But it's also because we have partners, we were not the only ones, in fact, we were super aggressive and got too many, and the MCCAC came back to us and said, do you mind if we actually cut back on your grant a little, or like on what you got? But what I'm asking, because if there's a level 3 out there, that was part of, we're not the only level 3.
John, you had a comment?
Just a comment, I talked to, I think it was Cold Lake, that has through a different company, similar charger that we have. And they've also experienced some issues, probably not as substantial as this one, but they've also had their issues, so I think just the warranty is unfortunately very short, and there's not much we can do with that at this point.
Mel?
If we fix this for $8,000, do we get any sort of warranty?
I don't believe so, but I can look into
Okay,
that.
so that's it. Point number 2.
I believe that's just to pay for the part. The part itself, they're saying is 7,000 plus the installation.
Mary Ann?
And thank you. What is the overall warranty when we first entered into this? Does anyone recall? The actual unit, the level 3 was warranted for, or sorry, the life cycle. How long should it last? That it shouldn't be breaking down.
I'm not too familiar with that. I can look into that.
Okay, so we should have a motion to bring back some of this
Yes.
information.
I'd like to move that we defer until, I'd like to request administration to bring back additional information on the unit's lifespan or life cycle. And to better inform us to make that decision if we're repairing or.
So if there was more warranty. Yeah. With the new.
And if the proposed purchase part could have warranty as well.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Okay, and we'll move on to 8.2, amended to the 2025 capital budget. Evan?
I have a question about the wording. Can our capital budget not remain as is? What we're just approving is you going over the internal amount? Is that how, so I'm a little bit confused by the wording of this because you're not coming back saying let $500 to increase a capital budget, a large capital budget. But you're actually saying what you have earmarked within the capital budget.
Yeah.
We have now gone over, so of course you need to come back to us and ask that, okay.
Yeah, just to increase the project ATCO Lights retrofit downtown in the amount of $500.
Mary Ann?
So if, my question is kind of, and not to be combative, but so we're so close in the dates, but why wasn't the work done in that time frame to meet the quote? Are we waiting for parts or?
The quote was brought forward to us by ATCO to whether replace the lights or to replace the whole system, I believe, in November, and we brought it back to the capital budget. The capital budget wasn't approved till May, I believe. So we can't perform any work until the capital projects have been approved. Or I didn't have
It was
that.
August or April, but. So we didn't have time to do it in May or?
Well, November to May is like 6.
It's the 90 days that was.
It's 90 days.
Sooner. I tried to ask them if they would honor the original quote, but they refused me. So.
All right. We made the last motion. Mary Ann did, so I guess it's up to Emily.
And again, the $500 is an estimate to have a little bit of a contingency. The actual increase would only be, because the original was approved at 10.5 and the quote is actually 10,608. So it's only $108.36, but we increased it to have that little contingency in case we require additional work.
Evan?
So I'm gonna give an attempt at this and you'll have, but the town of Smoky Lake amend the allocated amount within the 2025 capital budget approved for the ATCO's lights retrofit downtown to an amount no greater than 11,000. Does that?
To exceed 11,000, yeah.
Yeah, so the line that's allocated within the budget, and now you're saying it's actually under, but we're not gonna go over 11, so I'm getting a nod from the queen of motions over there, so.
Killer, that was a good one.
I think I did it.
We did a good job.
Thank you. I'll take your gold star, Councilor Morton.
Opposed, so carried. All right, 8.3, June 9th, 2025, CEO recruitment workshop. The next couple should be.
I'll make motion that Town of Smoky Lake approve the June 9th, 2025 Chief Administration Officer Recruitment Workshop to be held in Town of Smoky Lake Council Chambers with Angela Duncan, Municipal Rising Tides as a council approved event.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.4, Emerald Award. Mary Ann?
I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake send a congratulatory letter to the Opetik-Mississauga. Yeah, Métis government in recognition of Soleil Présent, the Métis Crossing Solar Project being awarded the 2025 Emerald Award in the energy category by the Alberta Emerald Foundation and to commend the Métis Nation for its leadership and commitment to advancing renewable energy and sustainable solutions in Alberta.
All in favor? None opposed, so
Could I
carried.
add another motion at this time for our admin to present at an upcoming meeting any work that they've already done on the community development fund associated to that project for the solar panel, and we kind of I know our former CIO was working on it, so we're waiting for data, so that's why I want to have the motion. We might have just the data, but I think council should start talking about it as to see maybe there's recreation dollars that we can use for the pickleball.
Yeah, Crystal?
Did you want me to provide a quick update?
Sure. No. Because I don't wanna I don't wanna do it on,
Okay. I'll bring that.
Admin.
yeah, just bring it back, because for time and everything, it gives you a chance. I don't wanna blindside anyone. Is that okay with that motion?
Yeah, Evelyn? Oh, all in favor of the motion? None opposed, so carried. Evelyn?
Can we make sure that this is posted? There's a link. Can we post this on our website, please? Under media, there's a where we can post it, because it actually is, we are sub-winners of this award. So if we could put that on the media, please.
Thank you. Canada Bike, 8.5, Canada Day Bike Parade. Evelyn?
I'll read the motion that Town of Smoky Lake approve the temporary street closures on 54 Avenue, 46th Street and 55 Avenue in Smoky Lake for the purpose of the Canada Day Bike Parade hosted by Town of Smoky Lake Family and Community Support Services on Tuesday, July 1st, 2025 from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. starting at the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society Complex and Arena located at 4612-54 Avenue to include portions of 46th Street, 56th Avenue, 45th Street, 55 5th Avenue, and ending at the Smoky Lake Agricultural Society Complex located at 4612-54 Avenue.
All in favor?
Everyone just closed every street in
None
town.
opposed. None opposed, so carried. 8.6. Bell?
I'd like to make motion that the town of Smoky Lake appoint Juanita Kozakar as volunteer fire chief for the town of Smoky Lake in reference to the letter sent by Smoky Lake Fire Department regarding their annual general meeting held on March 26, 2025.
Brief
Marianne?
discussion, page 115, 115. In Councillor Cove's email, she referenced a section from the bylaw. So did we miss doing this in 2024? Or I don't see the bylaw, so I'm not sure what she was talking about, but point of clarity.
Or is it a 2-year term?
Missed. I'm unsure. I think they hold their AGMs annually.
Or just the background didn't include 2024 or?
May have been missed. I'm not sure.
Okay, all in favor of the recommendation? Motion, all in favor, none opposed, so carried. All right, 8.7, volunteer fire chief tenure recognition.
Made that one.
And I did.
Hang on, just ask the question.
Yeah, you asked me clarity.
Oh, my goodness. Sorry. I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake formally recognize Juanita Kozakar, fire chief for the town of Smoky Lake, for 10 years of dedicated public service and commitment as a valued member of the Alberta Fire Chiefs Association and administration. Share congratulatory messages on the town's social media channels and website, and that a gift be presented to her in recognition of the significant milestone in the form of a gift card for the $500 at a future meeting of town council. And be funded from the, not to exceed the value of $500 and to be funded from the 2025 operating budget entitled Promotions and Public Relations.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.9, development. No, 8.8, Smoky Lake Fire Department pancake breakfast. Evelyn?
I'll make the motion that Town of Smoky Lake support the pancake breakfast hosted by the Smoky Lake Fire Department to be held on July 1st, 2025, with proceeds to go towards the cost of fireworks for the 2025 Heritage Day celebration in August, not to exceed $600, to be funded from the 2025 operating budget entitled Grants to Individuals and Organizations.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. 8.9, Development Authority. Mel?
I'd like to make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake appoint Pam Rotier. Development Officer as the Development Authority Officer for the Town of Smoky Lake, effective immediately.
Marianne?
Again, discussion, is this an annual or is it with the position when someone leaves and someone's reappointed, or did we miss it, or?
Crystal?
Because there's nothing in 2024.
Yeah, the Development Authority needs to be appointed when there is a changeover in staff, and we are bringing that forward and moving forward. The Development Authority officer shall be appointed by resolution of council at its AGM or as required. So it's be brought back at the AGM.
Thank you. All in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right, do we wanna do one more or? No,
I'd like to do one more.
sounds good. Okay, 9.1 rezoning bylaws.
You know, this,
And so just a quick question, so we need to do this because it's very time sensitive, we don't want to delay people from building, or is that why we're seeing this?
Yes.
And should it have previously been done, or?
I think so.
Yeah, I did hear
I
some. I probably heard some discussion that people are.
Seems kind of odd that these lots were zoned R3 to start with. There's literally like only 2 other spots in town that are R3 right now, so.
Mel has a bit of background on that.
yeah,
Which I
they were zoned this way, they were changed this way specifically for a building project that fell through. So they should have been
Defaulted.
rezoned. You have to go through all the process again. It should have been rezoned, you're right, before this time.
Okay, so having that information, I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake proceed with rezoning the listed parcels in Colacrica and cover the cost for advertising for lot 19, block 6, plan 072182, 07214842, lot 20, block 6, plan 07214842, lot 12, block 7, plan 07214842, lot 15, block 7, plan 07214842, and that the town of Smoky Lake give first reading to bylaw number 14-2025 to amend land use bylaw 07-18, being the land use bylaw for the town of Smoky Lake to rezone lot 19, block 6, plan 07214842, lot 20, block 6, plan 07214842, lot 12, block 7, plan 07214842, lot 15, block 7, plan 07214842 from R3 residential high density district to R1 residential low density district, and set a public hearing date on July 14th, 2025.
Good job. All in favor?
Thank you.
None opposed, so carried. All right,
Thank you, Sam.
Mel. Should we? Yeah, we're done.
Yeah.
Are we done?
Take
All
a
right,
break.
so to do this properly, we call it break at 12:14. And then we just come back whenever we want, we don't have to stick.
In a recess or?
Yeah, that's whatever the word is. So we'll call the meeting back to order at 2:07. And we will slide right back into 10.2, bylaw number 15-2025, election bylaw.
So there was a motion previously for administration to bring back more information regarding information on the Local Authorities Election Act. So the reappointing of a returning officer after June 30th is gray area. So we need to appoint a returning officer and substitute before June 30th. Our previous elections bylaw had the CAO as the returning officer and the assistant CAO as the substitute returning officer. So we are proposing to keep it the same with the CAO being the returning officer and having our legislative services clerk be the substitute, and we will be hiring a presiding deputy returning officer
Help with the other.
to help with the election. It's always been. There's also been 2 changes to the bylaw. 13.2, we added campaign signs only placed on they shall only be placed on the town of Smoky Lake property and town road right of ways at noon on Monday, September 22nd, 2025. Close of nomination day until 72 hours after election day, and 5.9. No candidate may use facilities, equipment, supplies, services, or other resources of the town of Smoky Lake for any election campaign or campaign related activity. That's the.
Any discussion?
So just for a point of clarity, if I may.
Yeah.
So this was the one we were waiting to make sure that we didn't default by June 30th, that we had everything in place. And so. Okay, and having said, thank you, Crystal, for preparing that. So having said that, are we putting ourselves in a position where okay, so we fast forward, we've hired a CAO and they don't have the aptitude to run the election. Have we painted ourselves in a corner by not appointing the legislative clerk at this time? That's just my question, or is that coming back up in later on at 8.9.3? Sorry, 9.7.
Crystal? I just also want to mention the presiding deputy shall carry out the duties of a presiding deputy under the act and other duties that a returning officer assigns. So the returning officer will be assigning duties for us all to do. Yeah. So.
Doesn't have to do the work, she just got it delegated if that's what she chooses. They're shaking.
Yeah.
Right. They, and.
Crystal.
Yeah. Fair enough.
Thank you.
All right, Mel?
Make a motion, the town of Smoky Lake give first reading to bylaw number 15-2025 elections bylaw to establish municipal election procedures.
All in favor? Any opposed? Did you vote?
So we had a discussion in our workshop, which it was in closed session, so we can't, but in order for me to talk about what we talked about during our workshop, we can't talk about it here.
No.
Then before we continue with the vote, did you need to do a quick in closed session to get through this? Yeah, because we need to appoint somebody by the 30th,
Yeah,
so I
and I'm
don't think
also-
that we can wait. So
Yeah, defer this.
And I'm also looking at the time too.
Yeah, so
So
can we
this
just
was the
quickly-
worst motion put on the table before.
Well, we can
went
still
there.
pass the first reading, can't we?
We can.
And then have discussion of the second, then I can.
Yeah, we can do this first one, pass it, and then we can, before the second one, we can go into closed session.
Okay. Okay, any opposed? Or are you in favor? All in favor? Unopposed, so carried.
Perfect.
All right. So do we go into closed session now, or do we just
No.
move to the 9.3, or maybe not 9.3? 9.4 might be a simple one. let's move to 9.4, bylaw number 17-2025, fire protection services fee. So at the ICC meeting, it was suggested, this bylaw number. This is with the, $400 per hour fee is what the rest of the municipalities had agreed with. What was decided, so then we're bringing it back here to have it passed if everybody is in agreement.
So just for clarity, the ICC, this was what the discussion was. Everybody decided there that it was good. So we're just coming back to update our bylaw so that it reflects. And they're all currently the same.
That's right.
Okay, in that case, I am comfortable with that.
It's an increase.
I love that.
Wow.
I love it. So I'm gonna make the motion to.
We didn't have anything else from that.
We had 250.
Yeah, I was gonna say, yeah, which is nothing, yeah. I'll make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake give first reading to bylaw number 17-2025 fire protective services fees to provide the establishment of fire protection services fees and penalties.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried.
We're comfortable to move on, and so I'd like to move that the town of Smoky Lake give second reading to bylaw number 17-2025 fire protection services fees to provide the establishment of fire protection services, fees and penalties.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And then.
That Town of Smoky Lake give permission for third and final reading to bylaw number 17-2025 fire protection services fees to provide for the establishment of the fire protection services fees and penalties.
All in favor? Carried unanimously. All in favor? Carried unanimously, right? All right, Mel.
Oh, I'll make a motion, Town of Smoky Lake give third and final reading bylaw number 17-2025 fire protection services fees to provide for the establishment of fire protection services fees and penalties.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. And she's here. Okay. We want to do the last mayor, the 10 mayor and council reports, or here's a big discussion?
Well, I'm good with it.
Let's just wait at this point.
Yeah, so what do we do? Call a recess now?
Yep, I'll
Okay.
call a break at 2:15.
Ladies, in case I don't make it down here again, because I'm not sure that there's getting out of here.
All right, we'll call the meeting back to order at 5:17. And we will jump back to 9.2. Second reading. Yeah. Mel?
I'll make a motion that Town of Smoky Lake give second reading to bylaw number 15-2025 elections bylaw to establish municipal election procedures.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried. Then, which one's with the?
Page 131.
Sorry. And it's permission. Thank you.
I move that the town of Smoky Lake give permission for third and final reading to bylaw number 15-2025 elections bylaw to establish municipal election procedures.
All in favor? None opposed, so carried unanimously.
Glasses.
For time, can someone else do it, please?
Sure. I can read it. And then you
Read
can-
it, yeah, and then I'll make the motion.
That the town of Smoky Lake give third and final reading to bylaw number 15-2025 elections bylaw to establish municipal election procedures.
I'll make that motion.
All in favor? None opposed?
I can read the next one. then.
So, okay,
That Town of Smoky Lake give third and final reading to bylaw.
that's what I read.
Oh, that's what, then that,
So we're
sorry,
done.
see, told you, I'm skewing back up.
You got her now.
9.3. No. Oh. Appointment of returning officer and substitute returning officer.
I can make a motion, the town of Smoky Lake appoint Crystal Brinks, interim CAO administrative officer, as the returning officer for the town of Smoky Lake for the purpose of conducting the 2025 municipal election in accordance with section 13 of the Local Authorities Election Act, and that this appointment remain in place until a permanent CAO officer is in position to assume the responsibility.
Any discussion or all in favor? None opposed, so carried. And motion 2. Oh, pardon me.
149.
Just so almost there. Sorry.
I move that the town of Smoky Lake appoint Carleen Orchowski, legislative service clerk, as the substitute returning officer for the town of Smoky Lake for the purposes of conducting the 2025 municipal election in accordance with the Local Authorities Election Act, section 13.
Okay, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. All right. 10.1, mayor, councillor, and committee reports. Sorry about the bombardment, but
Is it fire protection?
We did it.
yeah, we did that. Okay, we jumped over.
Thanks for the reminder.
I know it's been a
No,
whirlwind of
don't
a
worry.
day, don't even apologize.
I have check marks.
Suddenly I'm going, we did? Do I have that on tape so I can go back and look? Okay, no, I don't want to extend, but yeah, just questions about you. Apparently another board member quit from FCSS.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. I'll make the motion that town of Smoky Lake accept for information the mayor, councillor, and committee report item A to Q as follows: Mayor Chernichen, Deputy Mayor Prosecutor Zaruski, Councillor Morton, Councillor Coves, Northeast Nago letter, 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 Nago letter. I'm gonna throw in one more, Nago letter, Evergreen Regional Waste Commission meeting agenda, Evergreen Regional Waste meeting minutes, Northeast Muni Court Board meeting minutes, Northeast Muni Court Board meeting minutes, Highway 2863 meeting agenda, Highway 2863 meeting minutes.
All right, all in favor? None opposed, so carried. Correspondence requiring action, 11.1, animal control bylaw, resident request.
So this was quite unique. We got a request for a new resident who moved to Smoky Lake that has 3 dogs, but has her daughter staying with her temporarily and who also has a dog. So that equals 4. So we reviewed the animal control bylaw and it does say kennel in the definition means keeping dogs or cats greater than the number of 3, although this doesn't fall under the kennel license because they're all pets. So then we proceeded to look into the land use bylaw and Pam found that boarding, animal breeding or boarding facilities does not speak to kennels. Animal breeding or boarding facilities is only used in the M district, industrial. And you are urban reserve districts, so we did some research on other municipalities' animal control bylaw, and it's really close to ours that mention kennel license. So staff is recommending that we offer temporary variance for up to 1 year. So we're bringing it to council to.
I love that they I can't even, most people just would do it. So I
Yeah.
appreciate that. The only concern I have is if there is a noise or complaints, that it just be in the letter that it can be terminated. Other than that, I don't have an issue with this at all and I'd be prepared to be.
Yeah, I know how tough it is to live in this city.
And if I would add, could I add to that? So I like the idea of the background and thank you to admin for preparing this. I noticed that they noted their daughter will be living with them temporary. Would council consider instead of doing it up to 1 year, just do it at 6 months and then it could be revisited?
No?
Might not be a bad idea, actually, considering.
That takes us to the end of the year. Anything could change. Can I sway you?
I just think it's a non-issue if there's no problem. Right? If there's no problem, who cares if they have 4 dogs? If you have in the letter that somebody complains and your variance is taken away, then you can't have 4 dogs anymore. Like, if it's a non-issue, what's the issue? Yeah. So, I don't have an issue with it. I hate to add more things to council's
And I
bring
want-
back all the
Yeah,
time, but
no, I want to welcome new people to the community. It's just, we don't have a bylaw officer, so how would we field those complaints, right?
we do have a bylaw officer. I don't like when we say that we don't, we do, we have one. It's not strictly a only bylaw officer, but if you want to, does mention in the letter also that her daughter is expecting. I'm not sure when they're moving here, 6 months could go by awfully quickly.
I guess
So-
that part of the letter.
Yeah, I just think, like, I don't know when they haven't even got possession of the house yet. Like, they may not be moved here for a month, but can I sway you? So, by making the motion that the town of Smoky Lake issue a letter granting a temporary variance to the animal control bylaw 015-2023 for a period up to 1 year to permit the keeping of 4 dogs at 4810 52nd Street. And all 4 dogs must be registered with the town in accordance with animal control bylaw number 015-2023. But I would like it to say in this motion that if there is any complaints, noise, or complaints about the dogs, that it can be revoked, the variance.
I think it's good.
Does it need to say that in the motion or just the letter?
Just a letter, but
Cause I agree, yeah,
good point.
I'm just gonna say, I'm glad that you added that, but I don't think it needs to be in the motion as long as it's.
All in favor? Anyone opposed? So carried.
The deputy mayor was swayed.
All right, Smoky Lake Pumpkin Growers Association sponsorship request. Marianne?
I'd like to defer this to the July 14th meeting, to have a discussion and to have administration bring back the in labor in kind amounts for 23 and 24 to be further discussed at the next meeting.
No.
I also was going to ask for that. I don't have an issue, I don't have an issue with this motion, but I would like to know ahead of time the request for this year's in-kind labor. Before, yeah, I would like a more, like, so she wants 2023, 24, I want 25. So,
I like how administration has prepared the RFD and thank you for doing that. And on page 218, it is a standing motion. I just think at this point at the council table, we need to review because we have the numbers increasing as the volunteers are decreasing. So we're tasking our town staff. Again, there's an election coming up in around the same time and there's a lot of things happening. So I think we can better serve that decision and look at it in terms of maybe we're sponsoring more money as opposed to less labor in kind.
Yeah, we haven't received we haven't had a meeting yet with the pumpkin growers to see what they all need from Public Works and events, so I think I'll definitely follow up with that.
Yeah,
so it doesn't need to come back to the next meeting, then it can be after
Yeah.
there.
can be.
Yeah.
For this the sponsorship, it's they have a due date, they want to apply by August. In the letter, it said August 15th, so
Perfect.
my motion is to direct administration to bring back the totals for 2023 and 2024 to the July 14th meeting for discussion. And the ask of the 2025 fair.
Will you have it?
Okay, no,
No.
and that will defer this, do we get that all in the same motion? Or bring it back?
To bring it back, she said to bring this all
Okay,
back.
okay, all in favor? None opposed, okay,
Thank you.
all right, Alberta Police Funding Model Review Survey Participation. Sorry.
If can we defer this? Well, oh no, June 4th, right?
Yeah.
No, it's got it coming up.
July 14th.
Yeah, it's 20 minutes.
Okay, is this for the public or is this for us at the survey? That's what,
Just for us.
As in us, as in the town, somebody at the town doing it, or as
No.
in us, as in each of us should do it?
Carly's emailed it to us.
Yeah, I know, I see that, I just, I didn't have time to paste that.
They said it would take about 20 minutes.
Okay, so, this is just a recommendation that we participate, so we do whatever we want with it, but, right?
Yeah.
It's just kind of making us know that it's there.